first lesson you need to learn on devils are their unpredictability. He'll be your friend, and like a friend, he'll help you out of a jam. Need a few coins to get by. The devil's got a few to spare. Need a warm body to fill your bed. The devil knows the best ladies. Want status, riches, property, magic, power? The devil has the answers. They'll give you all you want and more. What does he want in exchange? Just a little thing, a trifle really, and it won't affect you in the slightest. All he wants is your soul. You just have to sign your name on the dotted line in your own blood, and you'll be set for life. But if you ever do it, and trust me, you'll be tempted in our line of work, you let me know, because I'll be waiting in line to send your no-good, damned soul straight to your new master guaranteed. Will Ravengard, the Blade of Frontiers, 1492 DR. Today, we fall back into the layers of hell to find out more about the devils and all their mystery. Though devils come in many different forms, their physical and mental processes are much the same. The psychology of devils can be summed up in a single word: ambition. Almost every devil constantly wonders how it can win advancement, or in a few rare cases, stave off an unwanted promotion. Devils believe in rules and order, not because these forces are good for society, but because they believe that they personally stand to benefit from them. Each devil hopes to reach a position in which it can remake the rules to suit its own goals. Followers of other deities may see them as hypocrites, but to devils, this attitude is perfectly consistent and logical. The cleverer devils invariably perceive themselves as cool, calculating, and abundantly logical. Emotions, after all, tend to be chaotic, while thought and reason are lawful. The evil component of their nature often prompts devils to act based on emotion without regard for their true long-term self-interest. Devils enjoy inflicting misery, be it physical or mental, on others. They hate suffering defeat or humiliation. So, they pursue vengeance with tremendous spite and energy whenever possible. If sufficiently goaded, they might pursue such vendettas, even to the point of self-destruction. Devils ally with lawful evil deities, but do not bow down to them. Indeed, they have no need to do so, since they subsist directly on divine energy harvested from the souls of the damned. According to prevailing attitudes in the hells, deities are transient, but devils are forever. The devils believe the myths that describe how Asmodeus established the 9 hells by tricking the original lawful deities. Even lawful evil deities are seen as latecomers to the show. In general, devils believe that deities are sometimes useful, always dangerous, and will ultimately be crushed beneath the heel of infernal ambition. Devils derive their sustenance from the ambient energy of tormented souls, which suffuses all of the 9 hells. Thus, they do not need to eat or drink to survive. Certain devil forms remain capable of enjoying the taste of fine food or drink as a sensual pleasure, entirely detached from nutrition. The same holds true for devils prone to devouring their organic or demonic foes. Although this act is more of a celebration of power than an exercise in fine dining. Devils breathe and require oxygen to survive, though they need far less of it than organic creatures do. The spawn of Asmodeus do not reproduce conventionally. Most are created by the magical transformation of processed soul shells, then graduated from one form to another. A few, such as the Caliban, are produced spontaneously by an environment of the 9 hells. Inside, a devil's body cavity is a mass of squamous, mushy tissue called the ovatorium. Anyone who kills a devil and plunges a hand into this tissue will find dozens of tiny sacs containing finger-sized fetal versions of various devil types. When a devil is promoted, a sac corresponding to the new form swells with infernal energy until it reaches full size and bursts out through the ruined flesh of the old form. Unique devils are capable of reproduction among their own kind and with mortal creatures. A creature born to two unique devils is itself a unique devil. Many a tiefling can trace their ancestry back to an ancient union between a devil and a mortal. Although dukes and archdukes can reproduce, they do so rarely. In the cutthroat politics of the Nine Hells, a child born to a diabolical couple is a tenuous ally at best, and an active enemy, or useful pawn at worst. Devils do not die of old age. Most are ageless, and in fact some can trace their origins to a mythic past before time was measured as it is now. Regardless of when they were created, most devils display no outward signs of aging. However, some especially tough and wrinkly specimens appear visibly decrepit, usually due to a curse. A devil slain in the Nine Hells stays dead. A devil slain outside of the Hells dissolves into a puddle of foamy, stinking ooze over about 10 minutes. Whether or not its residue is disturbed, a slain devil returns to the Hells 99 years later in its original form. This method of transport leaves behind any physical possessions the devil might have carried. Depending on the nature of the defeat, the devil might experience no repercussions, or might face demotion for failure. Lowly devils are the likeliest to suffer demotion. Almost all devils can see in darkness, even that created by magical darkness. The acuity of their other senses varies by form. Regardless of the acuity of a devil's senses, all its perceptions are tinged by its natural affinity for destruction and despair. The most beautiful flower appears slightly wilted at the edges. An innocent child looks like a bag of flesh, loosely covering soft and unformed bones. While a bottle of perfume seems slightly more pleasant than a reeking cesspit, all scents seem to some degree foul. The Batazu have a rigid hierarchy up which all devils hope to ascend. At the bottom of this monolithic society are the teeming hordes of least and lesser devils that live and die by greater devils, which manage the day-to-day functions of Hell's society. These, in turn, are commanded by the archdevils themselves. The archdevils wield incredible power comparable to that of many deities, and their word is law. Amnesus are guardian devils whose task it is to oversee traffic through the gates of Hell. As the guardians of many portals to Hell, they are encountered in mortal realms more frequently than other devils. This creature is a green, short, stocky, winged being, vaguely resembling a gargoyle. It has an oversized, elongated head, fitted with small porcine eyes, a pug nose, and a large fang-filled mouth. Amnesus occupy checkpoints along the river Styx. Visitors must stop at each one to register with these devils, state the purpose of their visit, and subject themselves to a humiliating search. These devils are functionaries and politicians. They are famous for their intrigues and constant plotting. Jockeying for greater station in the hierarchy is their greatest pastime. The Amnesus have an inflated sense of self. All others are tools, useful as currency to purchase a greater position. So callous is their disregard for lesser devils that Amnesus are often undone by those clever enough to pander to their enormous egos. The Hellfire is the creation of Mephistopheles, Archduke of Cania. Hotter than the hottest flames of any world, Hellfire burns with a white-hot glow and is capable of burning through even the hardest of substances. This automaton thunders forward, its metal plates shrieking with each step, looking like an armored giant. Through the gaps at its joints, you can see the white-hot light of some inferno raging within. Its head is terrifying, wrought to appear like a bearded man with the horns of a stag, its mouth opening impossibly wide. A Hellfire engine's most notable trait is the pure hellfire it spits at its opponents. No creature in the known cosmos can resist a Hellfire engine's awful attack. Many devils speculate that Hellfire engines serve not only to annihilate legions of devils, but also to deter any of the Dukes of Cania from turning against Mephistopheles. A pleasure devil, known as a Brachina, is an expert at turning its enemies into allies. Brachinas are specially selected Erinyes, who are lifted from their station and endowed with even greater beauty and power. Charged with corrupting the virtuous, they travel to the material plane to work their evil, returning to the 9 hells only when they have succeeded in their task. The punishment for failure is severe. Thus, all pleasure devils work doubly hard to corrupt their victims. Pleasure devils enjoy their higher status, relishing the chance to escape the ugliness of hell. To them, the material plane is ripe for the plucking. Mortals are weak-willed, being driven to evil with the promise of physical gratification. Pleasure devils have no compunctions about seducing males or females of any race. They are quick to betray others of their kind if it means moving ahead. Pit fiends and archdevils use brachinas as playthings, discarding them as quickly as they select them. Orphans are foot soldiers in Hell's armies. Though specialized in killing demons, they are equally dangerous against mortal foes. This hulking fiend is covered in metal plates bolted directly to its flesh. The nails that fix the plates in place drip black blood that stains armor and body alike. The creature has monstrous features, twisted in pain, but filled with a primal cunning. Rotten tusks sprout from its lower jaw, and maggots wriggle in its wounds. It is an honor to die for the Batazu, or at least that's what the Orthans believe. Their sacrifice furthers the glory of hell. Since these creatures have combat abilities nearly as dangerous to devils as they are to demons, other devils treat them well. Orthans live a miserable, pain-racked existence. The armored plates hammered into their body grind against bone, muscle, and sinew. The smallest movements causes them terrible anguish. Only in combat are their minds distracted enough to allow them to rise above their misery. Narzagons are the elite cavalry of the Batazu. Mounted on nightmares or other fell beasts, they ride across the plains on errands of evil. This human-sized creature is entirely encased within spiked plate armor, sitting astride a massive beast that resembles a horse but snorts flames. The rider carries a lance on which a pennant waves in some unfelt breeze. These riders are never encountered without their steeds, fierce nightmares captured and tamed for their use. They make extensive use of their mount's abilities, charging to maximize the damage from their lances. Though quick to fight, Narzagons never sacrifice their steeds needlessly and always keep their well-being in mind. Should its mount become imperiled, a Narzagon withdraws. These riders are attached to infernal companies. Many serve as standard bearers, but when organized into greater numbers, they sweep in to wreak havoc in the enemy lines. A curious breed, Narzagons are honorable warriors that prize forthright action and bravery over treacherous scheming. These are the most reliable troops into Hell's legions. They are also sworn to serve a Lord of Hell and honor its vow until death. These riders are native to the 9 hells of Bartor. All 9 layers have Narzagons populations, though they tend to congregate near the strongholds and palaces of the archdevils. Misery defines the existence of these riders. Once great warriors on the material plane, they adhered on the letter of the law, regardless of the consequences. In death, they found an eternity in the 9 hells to be their reward. Neperibos are tormented devils, forced to take on pathetic, weak forms for their failures. These devils have little independent will, aside from an instinctual urge to hurt those around them. They respond to the telepathic commands of other devils, making them ideal soldiers for fighting in the blood war. Most groups of Neperibos have Spinnigan leaders, but even when directed, Neperibos don't fight with finesse or any sense of strategy. They simply amble forward, lashing out blindly with whatever weapon they have in hand. Nuperibos attack en masse in an effort to overwhelm their targets with raw numbers. They lack any inventive or interesting tactics. Instead, they typically serve to distract an opponent while the true threat moves into position. Many stronger devils rely on Neperibos to cover a retreat. Archdevils are the most powerful devils in the 9 hells. Unique beings of depthless evil, they are feared and reviled throughout the planes. Such is their might that they can function in many ways as deities. They can project their physical manifestations onto the astral plane, from where they can travel to other planes without risk. If they are slain on another plane, they are banished to their lair for 99 years, similar to other forms of devils. Archdevils, for good reason, rely on aspects to deal with difficulties outside their domains. Bel was the original Lord of the First. His crimson scales covered this large fiend, from its bestial head to his clawed toes. From his back spread great bat-like wings. Foul green venom drips from his teeth, sending up streams of smoke wherever they fell. Cinched around his waist is a belt of a dozen shrieking angel heads, their necks neatly severed by the massive flaming sword he holds. Bel has yet to stabilize his domain. All efforts to establish an alliance with other lords have come to nothing. Neither Mephistopheles nor Baalzebul trusts him, since he so readily betrayed his own mistress. Of course, any of the Lords of the Nine would have gladly dethroned Zariel themselves. But a coup wiped out most of their operatives. Disparta, from the second layer, is the very definition of caution. He is vigilant beyond compare, weaving a web of impenetrable defense around himself and his holdings. His plans are far-reaching, taking generations to come to fruition. Yet he is not a craven, frightened fiend who grasps at power out of fear of losing it. He is calm, composed, and charming. He is the perfect gentleman, not given to emotional outbursts or acts of passion. Disparta has a finger in everything. He has agents scattered throughout the layers, all working towards some convoluted scheme. Most of his goals lurk behind countless lies and deceptions, but his hatred of Baalzebul is the worst-kept secret in the 9 hells. Despised by his peers, no one trusts Mammon thanks to his record for duplicity. Condemned to his stinking mire, he dreams of one day throwing off Asmodeus's curse and attaining his rightful place, with Glasia at his feet. Fully aware that he has exhausted any hopes of gaining allies from the other lords, he has abandoned the political maneuverings in hell to focus on subverting mortals to his cause. He invites those who prove themselves loyal to attend in his court. The service is disgusting, and one must suffer Mammon's vile attentions, but the riches and power to be gained are beyond imagination. Mammon's cults on the material plan are widespread and wealthy, having gained their station from dirty deals, extortion, and coercion. They are invested in the highest ranks of society. Among his servants, he includes beholders and mind flayers, but none are as beloved as the evil dragons he subverts. Something Tiamat keenly resents. In name, Fiona rules Phlegethos, commanding the fiery layer from her palace of rock and magma. In truth, her father Belial is the power behind the throne. Up until now, the situation suited Fiona just fine, but thanks to her fostering relationship with Glacia, she has become more interested in taking the layer in more than just name. No longer is she content to sit idly by and let her father make the decisions. She has even cultivated a few cults on the material plane. Fiona's newfound ambition concerns Belial, but he has other worries. He had been assembling an army to invade the 5th and 6th layers, confident his forces could overcome those of Levistus and the Hag Countess. A mountain of dark ice towers over the frozen sea of Stygia. At its center rests Prince Levistus, the Lord of the 5th. Levistus is very much aware of his prison and fights to break free. All efforts have failed, and it seems the Burg is resistant to magic entirely. He must be broken free to escape, so he has commanded his devils to chip away at the ice, even though for every inch they gain, 2 more build from the sleet and snow that perpetually blows across the barren land. Despite his predicament, Levistus has some influence in the 9 hells and beyond. His aspect works on behalf, recruiting new followers and setting in motion 1,000 different plots. Up until very recently, Malbolg was a layer tilted, a place of sliding scree and tumbling rock, its eternal slope nearly impossible to navigate. The pitch suited the Hag Countess, since she was unlike any other, not being a devil entirely. But her time has passed, and now Glacia, daughter of Asmodeus, reigns as Duchess of the Sixth. And to decorate her new home, she has used the best material at hand, the Hag Countess herself. Now that Glacia has risen to the rank of Archdevil, she has incredible power and influence. The other lords fear her, suspecting the move as a bid to consolidate Asmodeus's control over the 9 hells. Glacia is adorned in priceless jewelry, silks, and other finery. This human-like creature is the Vison of beauty, except for her copper skin, wings, forked tail, and horns that betray her true nature. Beelzebul's greatest failing is ambition. Even with the power and prestige he attained, he was never satisfied. As the politics of the 9 hells drew him deeper into plots and conspiracies, he found himself at greater odds with Asmodeus. Beelzebul retains a sizable following on the material plane. Mortals seem helplessly drawn to his doctrine of lies, his charm, and the power he offers. The most numerous of his followers are bugbears, who personify Beelzebul's dualistic nature by being both strong and cunning. Beelzebul looks like a massive slug, with tiny, malformed arms and a grotesque twisted face perched atop a bloated, glistening body. Mephistopheles is something of a walking contradiction. Unstable and thoroughly wicked, he presents multiple faces to those he meets. On one hand, he can be charming, erudite, and civil. But beneath the veneer of respectability is a vicious temper and unchecked ambition. He is patient and cunning, yet alone, he flies into a fury, screaming, tearing at his skin, and destroying everything around him in a thunderous explosion of hellfire and devastating magic. He has one goal, one reason for existence. He covets Asmodeus's throne. It is, in his mind, his destiny to rule the 9 hells. This diabolical fiend has crimson skin, massive red leathery wings, curling horns, white eyes, and long, straight, black hair. Swathed in a flowing cape, he is the vision of evil. Asmodeus is the undisputed master of the 9 hells, commanding fear and respect from all those who occupy his realm. Even the gods who dwell in the 9 hells give Asmodeus his proper due. Though the archdevils might work to usurp him, few have the courage to act in the open. Asmodeus's machinations are long in the making, and they might take centuries, if not millennia, to see resolution. He works on a grand scale, carefully constructing insidious and inexplicable intrigues, maneuvering the forces of wickedness like chess pieces on a board that encompasses all the planes. His core concerns are simple. First, he wants the power structure currently in place to remain exactly as it stands, with him in charge. He has spies on every layer, plants in every court. No fiend knows for sure which of its minions actually serve Asmodeus, so the climate is one of justified paranoia. Asmodeus is aware of every plot hatched against him. Older than the oldest archdevil, he has watched the rise and fall of other archdevils far craftier than any of Asmodeus's contemporaries. Few have forgotten that Asmodeus emerged unscathed in the reckoning, proving to all that he is their better. Lesser devils covet no mission more fervently than traveling to the material plane to corrupt mortal souls. First and foremost, such a mission offers the swiftest path to promotion. As an added bonus, devils assigned to soul harvesting duty often operate virtually independently. The diabolical right to claim evil souls, punish them, and ultimately convert them to divine energy stems from the packed primeval. A copy of it can be found in the impregnable citadel of Tabjari on Nessus. Devils recognize three broad divisions of status. At the bottom of the heap are the least devils, the hordes of minor Batezu, few of which ever advance from the state of supreme wretchedness. Above the least devils are the lesser devils, a more select group that enjoys greater autonomy. Through their roles in the soul trade, lesser devils tend to have regular opportunities for advancement. Near the top of the hierarchy are the greater devils, which occupy positions of authority in the infernal power structure. The most powerful of the greater devils are pit fiends, which manage diabolical forces in every enterprise, from the blood war to the corruption of entire nations. As arrogant and domineering as they strive to appear, all but the mightiest devils are driven by fear. These fears, from least important to greatest, are the scheming of its underlings, its immediate superior, its archduke, oblivion, demotion. The best way to understand devils and their ways is to listen to the stories they tell about themselves. The most famous of these tales have propagated as myths throughout all of the worlds of the material plane, becoming familiar to mortals of all sorts. Mortals have an unhealthy fascination with the denizens of hell. Despite the obvious perils involved, many mortals continue to study things diabolic. All those who try to deal with devils put themselves at terrible risk, but most don't realize it until it's too late. Devils are the archetypical evil villain of most fables. They embody cunning, ambition, and an unquenchable thirst for vengeance. They are the storytellers, the crafters of deals, and those that, if you don't watch carefully, can take you down a dark path. If you have any ideas on mysteries you want us to focus on, then leave a comment. Thanks for watching the video. We now have a Patreon, so if you would like to support the growing channel, head over. The link is in the description below. Like and subscribe. See you all on the next video.